Oh, here to talk about the Noah's Ark story, and specifically the poop problem. Oh, there goes my kettle. Yeah. Wow. Perfect timing, huh? Yeah, so anyway, the poop problem for Noah's Ark. Essentially, Noah's Ark is a giant floating barn. Now, if you've never shoveled poop, you may not understand this. But on a regular barn, you have all the doors at ground level, so you just push the poop out. Noah's Ark doesn't work this way. Noah's Ark has a door at ground level, but that door is now underwater because the Ark is sloshing around in the big storm that it can't really survive anyway. But to get the poop out, and they have to get the poop out, they have to carry it upstairs to a tiny window in the superstructure. Now, the people who came up with this story of Noah's Ark were primitive. And they didn't stay in one place. They didn't have settled agriculture. They were nomadic herdsmen. So for them, the poop problem is something you walked away from, quite literally. You just walk away. Just walk away. Keep walking. You never stay in the same place for more than one night. And you just continue migrating. And that's how they lived. But of course, they never had the time to think about the poop problem because they could walk away from it. Walking, walking, walking. And they didn't realize just how much poop animals produce because it was always something they walked away from. But the Ark is not an open field that you just walk across and your animals walk across it and they poop and you leave the poop behind. It's a barn. It's a giant floating barn with a window in the top, on the top story. So it's 3 levels plus a superstructure with a window in it. So you have a 4-story barn that you have to move the poop out of in order to prevent the Ark from turning into a methane bomb. Ta-da! And this isn't even getting into the pee problem. The urine, animal urine, I'm afraid that there is quite literally no amount of pitch that is going to protect the timbers of that hull from the animal urine. And moving the animal urine up those ladders or stairs, that's a lot more difficult than moving the poop, I'll tell you right now. So you could do this. You could do this if you had a crew of maybe 40 people, constantly bucket brigading, hauling up poop, non-stop, day in, day out. You could just about keep on top of the solid waste, the poop. But then there's the pee, and that gets away from you. But then you need another crew to feed the animals and water the animals and look after the animals and navigate the ship and do repairs on the ship. You're going to need a crew of at least 100 to run the Ark. Yeah, thereabouts, but they're 8 people. And none of them is under 300 years old. Now, I'm in my 50s, and I could just about handle a half a day of hauling buckets of poop up the stairs. Half a day. And I'd be pooched, I'd be done, and I would be barely able to keep up with the poop produced by the even-toed ungulates. Yeah. And now, the fact is that in the Ark myth, all the animals are listed as kinds, which appears to be sort of a vague, cryptic term that means anything from subspecies all the way up to whole classes. Yeah, and superclasses. Yeah. So it's kind of a meaningless term, but it is the term used by religious fundamentalists. And yeah, even-toed ungulates, there are several hundred species of even-toed ungulate. And then several hundred species of odd-toed ungulates. and several hundred species of Carnivoria, and several hundred species of this, and several hundred species of that. And we're getting into thousands of species. And that's just in the mammals, and then there are the reptiles, and then there are the birds. And if you really want to include the dinosaurs on the ark, then you're in trouble. Who's going to clean up behind the Diplodocus? Yeah. That's a lot of poop. And then there's the Brachiosaur, and then there's all the other, the Titanosaur, yeah, the Argentinosaur, and then there are the various Hadrosaurs, and the Albertosaurs, and blah, 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 and the Tyrannosaurs, and the Allosaurs, the little Dromaeosaurs that make lots and lots of little dry, powdery poop. Yeah. So the poop problem for the ark is pretty much insurmountable. And this is one of the reasons that creationists don't like to touch it. You can't fix the poop problem. It doesn't go away, and it's never going to go away. The ark needs a crew of 100, and the ark is not even feasible structurally, honestly. But the poop problem is really the final nail in the coffin, and yeah, if you just leave the poop, within a week you will have such a methane buildup that nothing can survive below decks. In 2 weeks you will have a methane bomb. In 3 weeks the ark will have exploded, and there will be nothing left but bits of slightly charred meat floating upon the vast storm-tossed sea. So much for the ark myth. Yeah. The poop problem alone kills it, and I'm going to assume that the people who are going to be the loudest critics of this video are also the people who have never had to clean out a barn before. Yeah. Religious fundamentalists. Before you criticize me for calling out the poop problem, clean out a cow barn. Do it. Clean out a cow barn. A dairy barn, a beef barn, I don't care. But clean it out. Go ahead. Do it. Then you can tell me how easy it is to clean a barn. And then you can tell me how simple it would be to simply lift the poop up 3 flights of stairs and toss it out of a tiny window all day long for literally tens of thousands of animals. That is, if you want to do this honestly. Now, I know you're a creationist, and so you're not going to do this honestly, but I'm ready for that too. Yeah. As for the rest of you, post your comments below. Thank you. Have a nice day.